All right, everyone. Hello, welcome to this emergency coverage courtesy of Advective Weather. We have a damaging, dangerous tornado on the ground. It's in the state of Tennessee. This thing is just to the south of Martin. This thing is west of Dresden, and it is heading to the north and east at the moment. Again, this is a particularly dangerous situation. That is the wording from the Weather Service for this confirmed large and extremely dangerous tornado. It was over Sharon, or 8 miles south of Martin, and it's moving northeast at 50 miles per hour. I'll do my best to kind of get some stuff sorted here. In the meantime, get that stuff sorted out so that way we're not really having to worry about it so much. But yeah, sudden start to the stream, and that's just due to the sheer amount of impact that we could be seeing from this. So extremely dangerous situation that's currently unfolding. So if we take a look, this is called velocity. So for those of you that aren't familiar, this shows us the winds going towards and away from the radar. So we have winds heading towards the radar, towards Sharon, away from the radar, away from Sharon. For example, as this thing is just to the south and west of Sharon. We can also take a look at what's known as a correlation coefficient. This gives us a good idea of where the tornado is using a potential debris signature, and there it is. That's a well-defined tornado debris signature, and that shows us very clearly that we do have a tornado on the ground, and again, this is large and extremely dangerous according to the National Weather Service. I'm just going to see if we can see anything on social media regarding this tornado. If you have any questions, comments, concerns, anything of that nature, please feel free to ask in the chat. I'll be more than glad to answer those with time. Micah Stevens saying, keep it up, Thomas. Thank you so much. We appreciate the support here. I'm going to see, we may have some other people on our team on at some point soon, and if so, they'll be joining us any minute now. So I'm just going to let them know that they can come on. So there it is. Again, a large and extremely dangerous tornado just south of Martin. This thing is about to cross Highway 45 east. And again, it's between Martin and Greenfield before heading in the general direction of Dresden. The storm still has a well-defined debris signature on the latest scan. That's now just south of Sharon. And again, this is heading in the general direction of Dresden. So here's the storm. There's a well-defined hook where the storm is producing that tornado. That shows us that there is rotation heading into the system. And again, on those velocities, we still see what is a rather strong velocity signature. It's not quite as strong as it was in the previous couple of scans. That shows that overall, it's looking like the tornado might be weakening. Keyword is might. Sometimes the radar is a bit misleading. That could mean that the couplet's getting tighter. There are a few things that this could mean. So if in Dresden, again, I would still highly encourage that you are in your safe place. What's that safe place look like? That's the lowest level of a sturdy building in an interior room, preferably a bathroom or a closet. That's going to be a place with no windows in it, and it's going to have as many walls between you and the outside as possible. Basements are great, but if you don't have a basement, that's all right. That's what those interior rooms on the first floor of a building are for as well. If you're in Greenfield, there's no time to really do anything other than that. Just get to your basement as quickly as possible. If you're in Dresden or Gleason, it's the same thing. It's the same thing. Beyond that, however, if you're in Cottage Grove, Midway, Whitlock, any of those particular areas, you do have some time to do some other things. And I want you to do the following. I want you to grab pillows and blankets, things like that, to wrap yourself up in to protect yourself from flying debris. If you have bicycle helmets, I want you to get one of those, put it on your head. Blunt force trauma to the head is the main cause of death in tornadoes. Bicycle helmets, football helmets, anything like that you have can be immensely helpful in that regard. The other thing to note as well is that if you do happen to get hit by a stronger tornado like this one appears to be, your roof could be gone. There could be lots of debris all over your home. So make sure that you have a pair of shoes, preferably with the thickest sole possible, that aren't exposed. So your toes aren't exposed, your foot isn't exposed. So closed-toed shoes with a thick sole, bring those to your basement with you as well. Keep those on your feet so that way you can walk out of there safely and not cut up your feet while coming out from what could be a situation with lots of debris. So that's the overall plan for preparations, but let's go over this tornado warning once more. A tornado warning, it remains in place until 12:30 p.m. Central Standard Time for Weakley, northeastern Gibson, southeastern Obion, and western Henry counties. They said 11:48 p.m. a confirmed large and extremely dangerous tornado was located over Sharon, or 8 miles south of Martin, moving northeast at 50 miles per hour. They emphasize that this is a particularly dangerous situation, a radar-confirmed tornado. So here are the locations that could be impacted: Martin, Paris, McKenzie, Dresden, Dyer, Greenfield, Gleason, Kenton, Rutherford, Bradford, Sharon, Cottage Grove, Roulton, Palmersville, Poyer, Henry, Sandhill, Jones Mill, Good Luck, and Crossland. So if you're in any of those areas, you need to get to your tornado safe place as quickly as you can. It's still a strong velocity signature on radar, and we still see a robust debris signature. It doesn't look like this one's quite up to date, but we'll see if that debris signature remains as this again moves to the north and east. The Weather Service estimating at 50 miles per hour. Now, when I tend to track these out, I go 5 miles per hour higher a lot of the time, just to go a bit aggressive. So that's exactly what we're going to do here. We're going to see what exactly the timing is going to look like if this thing's moving at 55 miles per hour. So Dresden, you've got 7 minutes until this is on your doorstep. So that's before 5 past noon. So again, you need to be getting to your safe place very, very quickly. You need to just be getting to that lowest level of a sturdy building in an interior room as quickly as possible. Or Springs, same thing. Jewel, same thing. Tumbling, I'd even say the same thing. Como, it's 17 minutes until it gets to you. So anyone there and beyond, this is when we start thinking about pillows, blankets, shoes, helmets, things like that. So Como, Cottage Grove, you guys have about 20 minutes or so before this gets to you. New Boston, same thing. Osage and Whitlock, you have about 25 minutes until this gets to you. Paris and Foundry Hill, about half an hour. So that's where the storm currently is. Let's see if that debris signature has updated for us. It has, and that is still a deep debris signature indicative of a strong tornado that is on the ground, and that is now just to the east of Sharon. So this is now moving eastward pretty quickly. It was to the west, now to the east. This thing has crossed 45E. It's going to be crossing Route 22. Route 22 here in not too long, between Gleason and Dresden. That's the anticipation. Now, those of you north of there that are in this tornado warning, don't let your guard down, because these tornadoes, they like to do what's called an occlusion. Those occlusions cause the tornado to move northward, and that can definitely cause some issues for those farther north. So don't let your guard down just yet. Now, this latest scan, the correlation coefficient scan that we're looking at, it looks like it's a bit garbled up due to a hail signature that we have. So it's kind of difficult to see what exactly is going on with the debris at this point, but we do see that there is still a very strong velocity signature. It looks a tad weaker now on the latest scan, so that's good news, but we still likely have a tornado on the ground now directly east of Sharon. We do have an update to the tornado warning, so let's go over the update to this tornado warning once we get the update text, and that'll happen here in just a minute. If you have any questions, comments, concerns, anything of that nature, please feel free to ask. I'll be more than happy to answer those as this dangerous situation continues to unfold. So again, that warning has updated. There is a new polygon. So Greenfield, you're out of the warning. Rutherford, you're out of the warning. Dyer, out of the warning. Martin now, if you're right in the middle of Martin or north, you are now out of the warning. Gardner's out of the warning. If you are in southern Martin, you're still in the warning. Sharon, you're still in the warning. Dresden, still in the warning. Gleason, Palmerville, Cottage Grove, Midway, Henry, Paris, Whitlock, those areas still in the warning. That does include Henry County and Weakley County. So here it is, tornado warning for Gibson and southeastern Ring counties, or Obion counties, are canceled. So those counties no longer in this warning. The following areas remain in a tornado warning. Tornado warning remains in place until 12:30 p.m. for central Weakley and western Henry counties. At 11:57, a confirmed large and extremely dangerous tornado was located near Dredden, or 9 miles southeast of Martin, moving northeast at 50 miles per hour. So that's Dresden. And again, it's moving northeast at 50. They still keep this as a particularly dangerous situation and a radar confirmed tornado. So the following locations, you're still in the warning: Martin, Paris, McKenzie, Dresden, Greenfield, Gleason, Sharon, Cottage Grove, Reuton, Palmersville, Poyer, Henry, Sandhill, Jones Mill, Crossland, Como, Ralston, Sunnyside, Pisgah, and Whitlock. Now, these are all in the state of Tennessee. This is starting to get to the Tennessee-Kentucky border, however. So if I am in Kentucky, if I'm near places like Murray or even downstream Clarksville in Tennessee, Hopkinsville in Kentucky, I'm taking a look at this, and you don't have to do anything immediately. However, you still should be getting that tornado plan in place in case this supercell does continue to be a threat throughout the day today. So good news, the tornado does look significantly weaker on our velocity scans than it did just a little bit ago. The bad news is this still does look to be a damaging, dangerous tornado on the ground and something that needs to be taken very, very seriously as this does move near Dresden. Now, I think that's still a debris signature that we have with the tornado. Again, it's a bit muffled up here due to some radar contamination that happens to be going right through where this is. I suspect that is due to some hail that we have further north. So that's just the unfortunate reality of the situation. But we're going to continue to look at what the radar can offer us in terms of data, as this thing now is moving just south of Dresden, might even be hitting the city proper. These radars, they are displaced a bit, the data that we see from the actual tornado, because we are having to look up a bit farther in the air than the very surface. For example, right now we're looking at radar that's about 4,000 feet above the ground. So if I actually had my suspicions, I'd say that the tornado is likely slightly to the south and west of where the radar would be showing it, just due to the overall structure of mesocyclones. Normally you have a structure kind of like this as you move up. So the mesocyclone gets displaced more and more to the north and east. So we'll see how all this ends up turning out, but again, this is a particularly dangerous situation. The tornado just south of Dresden, assuming that it's still on the ground, which we currently are. National Weather Service still declaring this a particularly dangerous situation. Now, I want to take a look at the bigger picture real quick, because there is so much more to this than just this tornado warning. We do have a tornado watch that is in place today, and I do want to just show people how expansive that is. So that tornado watch, that extends all the way from around Camden and El Dorado, Arkansas, all the way up to just south of Louisville, Kentucky, including Bowling Green, Clarksville, Nashville, Tennessee, also within that watch, and there is a large risk for severe weather today as well. More tornado watches expected to be issued within that risk area. A slight risk of severe weather stretching all the way from near Baton Rouge, Louisiana, all the way up to near Louisville, Kentucky. It's rather expansive, and this tornado threat has already began to materialize to a bit higher of a degree than I think some of us were expecting. So this is a dangerous situation that is still unfolding with regard to the tornado warned storm that is currently just south of, if not directly hitting, Dresden. Now, the good news is that your standard presentation for a tornadic thunderstorm is no longer what it once was. It doesn't look like this thing is anywhere near as powerful as it used to be. However, there still could be a tornado on the ground, and even when a tornado is weaker, it can still do some serious damage and be extremely dangerous. So here's the latest velocity scan, still a strong velocity scan there. South of Dresden, this thing is heading towards West Union, Ore Springs, Eagle Hill, Tumbling, Como. All of these areas need to be in their tornado safe place. Again, that is the lowest level of a sturdy building in an interior room, preferably a bathroom or a closet. If you're already down there, that's great. If not, you need to run down there. You need to get down there as quickly as you can. This tornado is going to be moving in your direction very, very quickly. Beyond that, places like Cottage Grove, Midway, Whitlock, Poyer, you have a bit more time. So I would suggest doing things like getting pillows, blankets, things like that to protect yourself from flying debris. Get hard-soled closed-toed shoes to keep in your basement, so that way if there is lots of debris you need to walk through, your feet will be protected. And also ensure that in the event of debris, you have a helmet that you have on your head to protect yourself from blunt force trauma. So that's what we're currently seeing. Still not seeing anything on social media regarding pictures of this tornado. So that is the unfortunate situation that we continue to see. There it is, again, just south of Dresden, heading towards Cottage Grove with Midway. This thing, it looks like it's going to move north of Gleason. You should still be in your tornado safe place. I also like to note for those north of the warning as well, even if you don't get a tornado, this thing likely has damaging winds and large hail in it on this northern side. So there's still reason to be in that tornado safe place. Looks like our debris signature has begun to die down some with this tornado. So that is certainly some good news that we have with it. Not 100% sure if that's because there isn't much to hit or because the tornado is weakened. However, due to the somewhat densely populated region that it's around and the fact that in this part of the country you tend to have lots of trees, forests, things like that, I'm going to go with that the tornado is weakening. So that is good news. That is very good news. So here we go. This is a cool feature on the software that we can look at. And this kind of gives you an idea of how the storm looks in 3D. Is causing the computer to struggle here a bit. All right, never mind on that front. We are not going to be messing with that. But three-dimensional radar, it is a very useful tool, and we can take a look at three-dimensional radar using another piece of software to give us a much better idea of how exactly this is looking. So what do we notice? We notice there might still be some debris that's lofted in the tornado from earlier in its life cycle, but I'm not seeing any new debris coming straight from the ground at the moment. So here it is. Here is that powerful thunderstorm that does seem to be still producing a substantiated velocity couplet. So unfortunately, I'm going to need to go here in about 7-8 minutes or so due to some obligations that I have. But glad that we were able to cover this particular comments, concerns, anything like that. Now is the time to ask. And I'll be happy to answer those questions. But hopefully we'll have someone else on standby here later today. That would be good, and we'll hopefully be able to cover this if it does continue to escalate into a more serious situation. So, slight risk of severe thunderstorms. It's rather expansive today, and we do have severe thunderstorms beginning to pop up across this region. And we do have a new severe thunderstorm warning that's just been issued regarding this storm. That stretches all the way from Greenfield all the way to the Tennessee-Kentucky border, raining on the Tennessee side. And we will continue to take a look at this. So if there is a tornado still on the ground with this thing, it's going to be past Route 22, past Dresden, heading in the general direction of Paris and Pouilly. Paris and Pouilly. The storm is currently in Weakley County. However, the tornado will likely move into Henry County over the next little while. Now, here's the text for the severe thunderstorm warning. We have a severe thunderstorm warning that is in place for Weakley, Gibson, Benton, and Henry counties until 1 p.m. for 60-mile-per-hour wind gusts, as well as quarter-sized hail. They're saying this has radar-indicated hail and wind threats of 1 inch in diameter and winds of 60 miles per hour. No mention of a possible tornado in the severe thunderstorm warning, likely because that's covered in the tornado warning. So, Still potential tornado that is now east of Dredeston heading towards Cottage Grove, Midway, Whitlock, those general areas. But the good news is that this does generally look as though it is weakening some. So hopefully that continues to be the case. It also looks as though this is starting to get choked off from its main source of energy, its main source of inflow. That should also hopefully prevent any sort of violent or significant tornadic activity from continuing, at least in the short term. Again, a tornado watch is in place today, courtesy of the Storm Prediction Center. That tornado watch is watch 714 of the year, and that is effective until 7 p.m. Central Standard Time tonight. So long day of severe weather still ahead of us. Wasn't quite expecting it to kick off the way it has. We'll see how the Storm Prediction Center responds with their future outlooks and how exactly this system does continue to evolve. But this is not an insignificant severe threat. That is for sure. Unfortunate situation here as well near Greenfield. Does look like we do have some at least a hooking structure beginning to materialize on the southern end of this. No particularly strong rotation. This is going to be moving into a much similar environment to the storm farther north, which produced a strong tornado. And there again is that hooking feature, and it does look like there's a bit of potential rotation. You can see those darker shades of green against those lighter shades of green. That might mean there's a bit of spin, but it's not going against the grain exactly just yet. So if you have any questions, comments, concerns, anything of that nature, please feel free to ask, and I'll be more than glad to answer those. But we only have a couple minutes left before I have to get going at 15 after. All right. Well, it looks as if the good news is we are seeing the rapid weakening of this velocity couplet that was producing a large, potentially violent, damaging, dangerous tornado. Think significance, the better word there. Probably wasn't a violent tornado, technically speaking, in meteorological language. For context, significant tornadoes, when we say that, we mean an EF2 plus tornado is a possibility. When we say violent, that means an EF4 plus. Don't believe that it was that strong. So could be an EF2 or higher-ish tornado. Looks like it kind of has that signature, but we won't really know until the Weather Service does damage surveys. Not even supposed to be talking quite this much about the rating, but I do like to clarify some semantics about the difference between a significant and a violent tornado and the general classification of strength there. So that's exactly what we're doing. All right, well, thank you so much for watching. I do hope that the stream was informative and helpful. I apologize for not being able to go longer than this, but I hope that everyone stays safe out there, and hopefully we will have someone else on standby here in short order to continue coverage in the event that we do have another damaging, dangerous tornado on the ground.